What's up internet, Kevin here with TLD, bringing you my review of Final Fantasy XIII-2 for the Xbox 360 and PS3. Now I have to admit, I wasn't the biggest fan of Final Fantasy XIII for a number of reasons, varying from how they handled the combat system to how the characters were just designed as well as the plot itself. I didn't hate it as much as some of the long-term fans did, but it definitely wasn't my favorite. As a result, I didn't have the highest expectations for XIII-2, especially considering Square's history with direct sequels to their games. And I have to admit, I was completely caught off guard by how much fun I found myself having with this game. Now being a direct sequel, the game uses the exact same core rules as 13, including the use of the paradigm system, in which rather than directly controlling each character individually and picking actions, instead you pick overall roles for the team to use and overall team strategies to follow. What's different this time around is that rather than have a full cast of characters to choose from, you have two lead characters that have access to all 6 roles, as well as having a third slot dedicated to different monsters that you can tame and raise to fight for you. Each of the monsters that you can tame uses only one of the 6 roles that are available to the main characters, and rather than leveling up through the use of experience, they use items that are dropped from similar enemies. It's a really straightforward and easy to pick up system, and each monster has its own little perks and unique abilities, making interesting different choices instead of just having a few main ones. And they have a large variety of choices, ranging from little cat creatures that act as healers to gigantic behemoths that just wreck enemies with melee attacks. On top of this, the game also gives you a small degree of customization with your monsters, being able to give them a number of different nicknames or being able to customize their appearance to a small extent, like giving them hats. Now both characters and monsters grow using the Crystarium system, which has been simplified since Final Fantasy XIII. Instead of each individual role having its own tree that you have to develop, now a character has a single tree, and each time you level it up, you pick which role you want to do. So each time you get different stat ups based on that role, as well as unlocking abilities when a particular role hits a certain level. Once enough level ups are gained, the Crystarium system itself expands and offers a special one-time power-up. For instance, unlocking a new role, improving the stat ups for a particular class, or even granting you certain special abilities. This shift makes level ups occur much more often, albeit with much smaller gains each time. Now while the game does offer some minor changes from the original as far as the core rules go, its real shining difference lies in its storyline and the manner in which it flows. Now not wanting to give away too many details for those of you that want to play the game, I will tell you that one of the central notes of it is that the game does revolve around time travel, and as a result it has a much more episodic feel than some of the other Final Fantasies. Players will travel to a number of different locations taking place in different times, and may even revisit the same location in different eras, causing them to notice differences in how time has changed them. And they may even create their own alternate realities where you see how things have changed as a result of things you've done in history. Each node in the timeline has its own little story and serves like a little mini-episode, and when brought together they form the overarching plot of the game. The game also has the interesting feature of letting you lock time gates, so that you can restart a particular episode, allowing you to re-experience its storyline, make different decisions, or even cause special paradox alternate endings. There are also a number of special wild time gates, which require hidden items throughout the game to unlock, and are completely unnecessary for the main story but add a number of interesting side quests and special areas to explore, which will grant new backstory or new missions for characters to complete. As a result, the game fixes one of Final Fantasy XIII's biggest flaws, and that it is much less linear, both in terms of storyline and level design. Now these changes aside, the game does inherit some of its weaknesses from its predecessor. The combat system still revolves around pressing X repeatedly while changing strategies, so you'll go into an offensive mode and keep pressing X, then go to defensive mode, press X, go to offensive mode, press X again, so on and so forth. It can be a little more interesting if you have a particularly tough fight, but since characters seem to level up so fast, there never really seems to be much challenge in any of the fights in the game, even in some of the final bosses. Now the game does try to vary up combat a little bit and add some new features. For instance, now there is a sort of quick time event feature that takes place during certain boss fights, sometimes in the middle, sometimes at the end. It does give a little interesting cinematic feel to it, but it doesn't really add that much, and to be honest, it feels almost unnecessary given how often it occurs. Another problem for the game is that while the storyline can be very entertaining and each particular episode is fun, the overall concept of time travel is extremely convoluted, and the game doesn't do a very good job of explaining why certain changes occur based on your actions. As a result, this may cause some players to lose interest in the story midway through, especially if you're looking for some form of consistency in their concepts of time travel. Overall, Final Fantasy XIII-2 is a surprising improvement over its predecessor, and while it doesn't fix all the problems, it does do a good job of making it much more appealing for fans of the series. If you liked the first Final Fantasy XIII, then you'll definitely love this one, and even if you didn't, you might still want to give this one a chance as it just might catch you off guard. That's our review for Final Fantasy XIII-2. As always guys, thanks for watching, and if you haven't gotten a chance yet, make sure to check out our previous vids, and if you want to be extra awesome, make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys next time.
Instantly, so that way once we head back to the project, all those prior edits that we made, those don't change at all. We just made that little tweak and that changes the color, but it keeps everything else intact. From here